this is Sarah.
And this is Rachel.
And this is the Rippah Diaries, a podcast where we rip apart episode by episode the Vampire Diaries. Warning, this is a rewatch podcast for us, so there are potentially spoilers for the whole series ahead.
This week we're talking about Season 1, Episode 8, 162 Candles. In this episode, we get to meet Lexi for the first time. We also have Bonnie growing into herself as a witch, Caroline drama, of course, and then, of course, Stefan and Elena drama, too.
Always.
Yeah, every time.
Always.
All of Season 1, anyway.
And you forgot to mention, of course, Damon drama.
Yes,
as usual.
yes, Damon and his diabolical master plan, as he calls it.
Yeah, as usual.
Yep.
But this is our first Lexi episode.
Yes.
So that's a pretty big highlight.
Yeah.
In the future, we'll, of course, only get her in flashbacks due to the consequences of this episode.
Yes.
But it is our first real Lexi episode, so love to see it.
And only a live Lexi episode.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
But we love her all the same. Yeah.
Also, I think it's notable, Lexi is the first vampire that we see drinking out of a blood bag. This is our first blood bag episode.
Yeah. I was wondering all about that. I was like, she also mentions that she is older and stronger. Yes. And I think that's the first time we get that, too. The kind of being older correlates to being stronger. I think she mentions that, too.
That's true, because between Stefan and Damon, obviously they turned the same day. So there's no difference there. We have seen multiple times, of course, Damon has displayed that he is stronger. He has said that he is stronger. And in that situation, it's purely because of human blood versus animal blood. But yeah, Lexi does say it's because she is older than them. She's twice their age. So yeah, that is the first time I think that we do get that it correlates to age.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting fact.
Yeah. Still more vampire facts.
Yeah.
Every episode
we get a notable new vampire fact. Yeah. But this one we did get some notable also relationship highlights. This is Matt and Caroline's first sort of couple-y episode.
Yeah. Just a little taste of it. It's setting the groundwork for not
seasons of drama.
Yeah, just not one of my favorite relationships, unfortunately.
It is good while it runs its course. The thing that's really interesting about Caroline, and more so, I guess, Candace Akla, she has chemistry, I think, with pretty much everybody. They can pretty much pair her up with anyone, and while it's happening, in the moment, you're into it. You love it. Yeah. And, now, as a rewatch, we're like, ugh, Caroline and Matt,
terrible.
Boo, we hate it. Because of course we can see the other pairings that Caroline gets into and they're so much better. But for now, I do remember when watching this for the first time, I was like, they're kind of cute.
Not bad.
Like them.
Yeah.
It starts off rough though. That's what we're in for the next few. But it is the first episode. That's true.
Middle's also kind of rough.
It's just rough. It's just rough.
It's a teen relationship.
Oh, yeah. It is a 17, 18-year-old relationship.
Yes.
But this is the start of that, which is nice.
Yeah.
And Jenna is back.
Finally. She's back from the library where she was writing her thesis. I don't know
what was so time consuming. She couldn't even stop in and say hi, but she's been gone.
Yep.
And
finally back.
Yeah, and she mentions that Logan dumped her is how she phrases it, that she got a quick email breaking up with her. Yeah. And that was the end of that. So, or so we thought.
Yes. Which I did wonder about that. I wonder if the email predates his death or if Damon, took his little BlackBerry or whatever he did and sent the little email.
Or no, wait.
I'm traveling.
Doesn't it come up? Well, okay, I don't know. We're going to have to watch in the next few episodes because I don't remember the plot line of how that stuff comes out because Damon obviously was the one that buried his body and killed him and yada yada. But I also think it comes out later that the council gets really involved in covering up his death because obviously the council is the one that keeps it out of the news. They're the one that makes sure it doesn't get in the paper, not Damon. So the council's doing some of this cover up too. So they could have been the ones that did the email.
They could have been, because I also can't imagine Damon taking the time to email Jenna. Not at this point.
Maybe. I mean, he is trying to cover his tracks now, as is a big plot in this episode.
Yes.
But I don't know if he would write an email.
I don't think he would. And not to Jenna. Maybe to the news station.
True. To his boss. I quit. Bye.
Yeah, I quit. I'll never see you again.
Also, there's no reason. He knows that Jenna is, Elena's aunt. There'd be no reason to cover up with her. So, I don't know. We'll watch out for it.
Yeah.
There'll be more there.
Just something I wondered about, but we'll see.
So let's jump right into it with the council, aka in this episode, is really represented by Sheriff Forbes.
Yes, she is digging into all the details of Vicky's death.
Disappearance as of right now.
Oh yes, disappearance as far as they know. Mm-hmm. She interrogates Matt, Stefan, Elena, and Jeremy.
Yeah.
And they all give basically the same story, which, you know, if Sheriff Forbes was any good, would be suspicious, but she's not the best sheriff.
I mean, here's the thing that's hard, though. Teenagers just lie, and, like, they will lie to cops, too, just because they're teenagers.
Yes.
So, even if she's suspicious, it's probably, like, could just be in a teenager way. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, they're all giving their little testimonies, which are basically just, like, Vicky was acting strange. Yep. She seemed like she was on drugs, and she just left town.
Said she was leaving town,
We get a rare Elena ponytail moment.
Yes.
Which I always love to see. She does
start the episode in her ponytail.
Love to see it.
Love that.
So that's the most notable thing that happens in Elena's sort of testimony.
Yeah. She has her ponytail.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But Jeremy is the interesting one.
Yes. Yeah. He says verbatim what Damon told him.
Exactly.
When he compelled him. He says, I think
I'll miss her.
But I'll miss her, but it's for the best. Yeah, I think it's for the best.
Yes, I'll miss her, but it's for the best, which is exactly what Elena said to Damon, and Damon said to Jeremy when compelling him.
Exactly.
So, we've started to get the sense of what compulsion can do, and I think we have seen it in previous cases that I think with Caroline, like, if you're compelled to say or do something, you will do it to a T.
Yes.
But I think this one really sort of nails that in, where it's like, we do, like, immediately see, in this case, that Jeremy is just regurgitating what Damon gave to him.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is kind of a testament to just the power of compulsion, especially Damon's. But just generally, you will do exactly to the T, word for word.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Jeremy says to Sheriff Forbes. And he also starts to, like, turn around his life in this episode. He's back studying. He's back, like, actually caring about school.
Yeah, he's telling Elena and Jenna how he has so much work to catch up on. He'll never be able to make it. It's like October. I mean, maybe it's November 1st Trust at this point.
Having gone to a public high school, it's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. You can slack all of September and October and be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, they call him out that it's like, who is this? Are you an alien? Like, so unlike you.
Yeah.
So obviously Elena's a little concerned, you know, because it's like, even though he is showing good signs of change, it's just so out of character.
Yes. And she says he's almost, like, too okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, you wouldn't expect anyone to be okay after what just happened, so...
Well, because that's the thing, is also, it's not that he's okay from Vicky's death and from witnessing what happened to Vicky. He's okay from his parents' death now, too.
Yeah.
Because, so this is what we get to, is this is what Elena says to Damon at the grill later in the episode, is, what did you do to Jeremy? Like, what did you say to him? What happened? Because he's acting like a different person. He's studying. He's, like, very motivated.
Yes.
It's so unlike him. And they kind of go back and forth on it for a minute. But the point that Damon gets to is, I took away his suffering.
Yes.
I took away, like, the pain that he was feeling. And to me, I interpret that as not only what he was going through with Vicky, but especially what he was going through with his parents.
Yeah.
Elena, as much as in these episodes she tries to pretend she understands the vampire world, she doesn't.
She does not, no.
She hasn't, well, Damon's tried to compel her, but she hasn't been compelled. She hasn't seen anybody get compelled. She understands on a basic level what it is, but when she actually sees now what it did to Jeremy, I think she's really understanding, like, oh, you didn't just erase what happened with Vicky. You erased all of his pain, all of his grief, which has made him into a drastically different person. And yes, it is for the better as of right now. But we'll see how that continues to play out as things unravel.
Yes, that will have an interesting story arc of its own. So we'll get to that then.
It will. Yes. It will. Also interesting story arc currently, Damon weaseling his way into the council. That's also going on right at the top of the episode.
Yes, we see him give Liz the vervain. Just enough to, you know, give it to a few people, whatever. He doesn't care if a few people have it. And he starts to basically insert himself into the council, which...
Exactly.
This is where, like, Damon is in his, like, brilliance.
Yes.
Like, he is... Every move he makes is so calculated. So smart.
This is exactly what I wanted to say, too. We've gone back and forth in all of the podcast episodes talking about Damon's so smart, but why did he do that? But Damon's so smart, but that wasn't that smart. Yes. But this is an episode where you're like, Damon is smart.
Yes, no question.
Yeah, Damon knows what he's doing. And it kind of goes back to episode 3 when we were talking about Stefan with the football team and how, like, you kind of have to, like, lose in order to win overall. Stefan allows himself to get tackled in order to kind of, like, end up making good with Matt and Tyler.
Yeah.
And that's almost sort of, like, in a way, what we could say Damon does here. Yeah. He gives up the vervain, which could only hurt him. Yeah. He gives that over to Liz and to the rest of the council. But it is for the much bigger win, which is being integrated in the council and being trusted by Liz and the rest of them. Basically taking his name off the list and also getting real insider info, which Liz gives him some valuable info in this scene that kicks off the rest of the episode. Yes. She tells him, we might be wrong. There might be some things about vampires that we don't understand. Yeah. They might have advanced. We thought that they could only come out at night, but maybe that's wrong. Yeah. And so now she's saying, we're actually going to look at anybody who's arrived since the death started. And who would be...
only Stefan and Damon.
Yeah, exactly. Who would be top of the list? Stefan and Damon. Yes. So that really kickstarts this whole episode because now Damon's like, oh, we're at the top of the list.
I need to do something fast.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. I need to do something tonight. Yeah. So that is really what kickstarts this whole episode because now he's got his insider info. He's part of the council and he knows it's happening. Meanwhile, we're getting the regular teen drama outside the courthouse. Yes. Stefan and Elena have just left their little interrogations about Vicky, and they catch up really quick. And Elena basically says to Stefan, we can't be together. We can't be together. You need to stay away from me.
Yeah. Which, good for her.
Good for her.
Good for her. He does need to stay away at this point.
Yeah, not good for her that she immediately backtracks on that, but whatever. She tried for, like, 24 hours.
She tried. She tried.
She tried for 24 hours. Yeah. So that's pretty much where we're at the top of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that all goes down. And to set Damon's plan in motion, he gets really lucky, and Lexi arrives. Yes. And, of course, Lexi starts out with the fun fake haunting of Stefan. She's like running around the house and making noises. Yeah. Love her. She's so playful.
She's so playful. She's the perfect like counter person to Stefan. Yes. She brings out the fun in Stefan. We actually get to like really learn more about Stefan through Lexi. That's kind of why I like this episode so much is we do get this hint at what his life is like before all of this. Yeah. Before Mystic Falls and Elena, I guess. You know, they hint at Bon Jovi concerts and going backstage and their theme
and how he'd remember them.
Yeah. Yeah. They could make him remember him, though. Yeah. Like, they make vampire life sound so fun.
Yeah, they do.
They make it sound so fun. Who wouldn't want to be a vampire with their best friend, like, compelling yourself backstage to your favorite musical artist shows?
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
So cool. And traveling the world. They talk about, like, Stefan went naked in, like, the Trevi Fountain.
And he got super drunk on the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. Yeah, they just make it sound so cool and magical, and that's, like, what you want out of being a vampire.
Yeah, and that's also something we haven't really seen. No. Obviously, we don't see anyone really enjoying it. No, Damon in his own way.
It's all about being tortured. Yes, and a cursed how eternity existence.
Is so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's nice to see it actually being fun and playful. Yeah. And playing into that, Lexi is here because it is Stefan's 162nd birthday.
Hence the title of the episode.
Yeah, 162 candles. Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice, like, fun, I don't know, little, like, moment to add. It adds some, like, he's a real person with a life, not just, like, stalking Elena.
Yes. Yeah, it gives him that sort of, he needs another friendship. Because we've talked about this before, but Stefan's only friend, really, is Lexi. He doesn't really have many other friends, even throughout the rest of the show.
Yeah, not that we get, like, great insight into their friends, but, like, I do feel like Damon, it gets constantly dropped in of, like, he's always friends with, like, the random witches that they run into.
Women.
Even Enzo comes in later as a friend. Like, I do think it's brought up several times of, like, acquaintances that Damon has, but Stefan is only, well, there's another pair he is friends with in season 3.
Oh, yes. How could I forget?
Well, also Stefan did, so we won't count it.
Stefan forgot, I forgot. It's all the same. Yeah.
Yeah. But Lexi's the only true friend.
Yes.
Rippah friends don't count as real friends, probably.
Yeah, probably not. Related to being playful and having a fun episode, this is also such a fun episode for Bonnie. Yeah. I know we've noted this before, that Bonnie doesn't get a ton of light, fun moments. Yeah. But she's had more than I remember, and this actually might be her peak. Like, this episode.
It is, because remember what happens next one?
Well, yeah, then things really go downhill. But yeah, this is when Bonnie is in her just discovering being a witch, so it's still fun.
It's still like beautiful and
magical.
Exactly. Yeah. It's still beautiful and it's still magical and it can be fun.
Yes.
And it's a great episode for it.
It really is. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and we see at first she's been staying with Grams. Mm-hmm. Yep. She's been, I don't know how long she's supposedly staying there, but she's like packing a bag. Yeah. She's been there a while.
Yes.
They're joking about her dad is saying she needs to get home.
Yeah.
Which, random aside on Bonnie, her mom is a Bennett.
Yes.
And Grams is her mom's mom. Mm-hmm. But they're talking about her dad here, and her last name is Bennett. So I'm just confused on, like, her dad's not a Bennett. She just took her mom's last name?
That's a good question. I never thought about that before.
Because I assume in this scene they were talking about her dad because, like, it was probably supposed to be her dad was the Bennett. But, of course, they changed that so that they can have, like, a female witch being the Bennett.
Yeah, a matriarchal line of witches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably just something they didn't think about in the first early episodes. There are a few things in this episode that I think shows they didn't 100% know where they were going with everything.
It's going to come up a lot in this podcast that there were so many things that were not thought about.
No.
And yeah, that's the Bennett thing. I wonder. I'll do some research. Bring it back for next one because next episode's going to be a big Bennett witch episode.
Yes, definitely.
So I'll do some research.
We'll do some research.
But we do get some good info this time. They talk a little bit more about the necklace being Emily's necklace and that it is a talisman and a witch's talisman is very important and that Bonnie needs to wear it because it found her.
Yes.
So
important. There's a reason it found her.
Exactly. So that's Graham's advice. So Bonnie's been doing that, and then, of course, she has to tell her best friend that she's a witch.
Even though Graham's told her not to tell anyone.
Graham's told her not to. She had to tell Elena.
Yes, so she runs right over to Elena's house.
And does the most iconic scene, one of the most iconic scenes.
I think the most, yeah.
It's, like, definitely top, I don't know, 5, 10 most iconic Vampire Diaries scenes, for sure. Because they replicate it in the season finale.
6th season, yeah.
Oh, in 6th season. Yeah, so it's easily the most iconic Bonnie and Elena scene, like, together.
Yes. Yeah.
Easily. It's so great. It's so beautiful.
It's so, so good. I also just love, I mean, obviously there's that one little iconic scene, but I also just love how it starts. Where Bonnie comes over and Elena's in bed. And she gets in bed with her and she's like, tell me everything. Like, what's wrong? And she tells him that Stefan and her broke up. Mm-hmm. And Bonnie's like, I know exactly what will cheer you up. And it's just so, it's so real. Like, it's just
perfect friendship.
Yeah, it's like, that is exactly what I would do in that situation if I was in Bonnie's shoes. I would be like, I know how I can cheer you up. Yeah. I'm going to float some feathers.
Is this where you're telling me you're a witch?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Perfect.
I'm going to float them later on. Just not on camera.
Of course.
Give the secret away to everyone.
Yeah, no. Grams did say it has to be a secret.
Yes.
So, they have just the best scene. Bonnie just destroys Elena's pillow, which I find hilarious.
I would be very confused as to what Bonnie's doing, but there's a reason.
They couldn't have made it add a zipper so she could just pull the feathers out.
Yeah.
No, she just rips apart
Elena's scissors.
Pillow. Yeah.
A little weird, but
Elena just lets happen. She's like, okay.
She's a little confused, but she's like, all right.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then, of course, she spreads them out and she floats the feathers and she says, Elena, I'm a witch.
Yes.
And it's just so precious. And I, like, tear up watching it. I don't know.
I do, too.
I don't know if it hit me that hard, like, the first time I ever watched it. It probably did, just because I love magic.
Yeah.
But it really now is, like, such a poignant moment. And it's just so special between them. And Nina's face as Elena reacting to it is so, it's just, I keep saying it, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Yes.
It's the sweetest moment between two friends who have this moment of just cheer in between all of this darkness.
Yes. And also, this is another thing, I've said this about a lot of things, but this is another thing that as a rewatcher, you get so much more out of this scene on a second watch.
Yes.
It just is that, I mean, I teared up. It's that much more meaningful.
I did tear up. I could tear up about it right now. I'm like, it's such a good scene.
Yeah.
But imagine being Elena. In 1 week, you found out your boyfriend is a vampire. Yes. Your brother's girlfriend / your ex-boyfriend's sister has turned into a vampire and died. Yep. And now your best friend is telling you she's a witch.
Wild week for Elena.
What a week.
Yeah. She's probably thinking she's dreaming.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. I would be like, that didn't actually
There's
happen.
no way, yeah. Bonnie's not really a witch.
Yeah, no.
But she is.
She is. And it's a great scene to just pull it all together. And it really, for me, is like female friendship. It's beautiful.
Yes, it really is. It's just another great Bonnie being an amazing friend episode.
Yes, because I think it's like perfect when they come back to kind of end the scene. Elena says, if Grams asked you to keep a secret, why did you tell me?
Yeah.
And Bonnie says, because I had to tell my best friend.
Yes.
I couldn't keep it a secret from you.
Yeah.
Which really sets, I think, things in perspective for Elena, who has been struggling this week with the secret with Stefan.
Yes.
And she's reiterated to him multiple times, as we've said, that she doesn't feel comfortable keeping secrets like that. And that she doesn't want to have to lie to all of her friends. So to have Bonnie be telling her something on par with what Stefan's going through and being open with her, I think it's like really put things in perspective to her that like she can't lie about what happens with Stefan.
No, it's too big to not want to confide in someone, especially not your best friend, but also Matt, Jeremy, all the other people too.
Oh yeah, especially like after what happened to Vicky.
Yeah.
So it's a big episode for that. It's a big episode for friendship.
Yes.
Because Lexi and Stefan obviously are in like perfect...
They're the best friends too.
Yes. They have so much history together. They have great energy together.
Yes.
Somehow Lexi doesn't have a daylight ring.
Oh my gosh. This bothers me every time. This is something that lacks rewatch value.
Yes.
Because doesn't she have a daylight ring?
She does in the 80s.
In the 80s or 70s.
Well, even in the 1860s she does. Because the first time her and Stefan meet, I'm pretty sure is like during the day.
I think so.
In Civil War, like on a battlefield or on whatever, you know. I don't know. Wherever the wounded are being taken. I'm picturing them outside during the day back then.
I'm pretty sure they're definitely outside. I'm pretty sure it's during the day.
And either way, there's scenes of them in the 1940s and they're outside. Mm-hmm. There's scenes of them in the 80s and they're outside. Because, of course, we know from the later season that in the 1980s, Damon steals Lexi's ring.
Yes.
So
maybe he never gave it back. Like, he flushed it. I don't know. Sure. That's a horrible thing. But...
And it's only been 30 years.
Yeah.
Potentially less than. I don't remember what year it was. It could have been like 89, in which case it's only been like 20 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's probably really hard to come across a witch and to get a ring. But we do know that she's friends with the witch, so that's weird.
Yeah. Also, I just feel like it's hard to say because they obviously get lucky with Bonnie being around. And then, of course, in the originals in New Orleans, there are a lot of witches.
Lots of witches.
Of course. So maybe they're not as common and it's harder to find a witch who's especially willing to do that for you and trusts you. Maybe. But yeah, she knows a witch.
Yeah.
As we see shortly, she knew a witch.
Mm-hmm. Was really good friends with her.
Was good friends with her. Theoretically, like, she could somehow get a daylight ring. At least in 30 years. There's a lot about Lexi where it's like...
Maybe they thought about it and didn't. Like, for example, they definitely hooked up, Stefan and Lexi.
You think so?
I think they have.
Interesting.
Do you think they haven't?
I don't think they have.
Interesting.
See, to me, she feels very like AA sponsor to Stefan.
That's true.
Which I feel like is just such a boundary.
Okay, so...
I know she's not technically that,
so that's,
but...
Again, the thing with like not knowing what they're going to do with Lexi. Because I think it's this episode that made me think that. Like, there's no way they haven't like hooked up or like that's just the vibe of this episode. Like, they're very much those friends. They've never like had feelings for each other or crossed like that line. But I agree with you. I guess... Thinking about other episodes where, like, she's completely his, like, sponsor, yeah, I definitely think they wouldn't have. But, like, just looking at this episode, I'm like, that's the vibe they're giving. She also offers him blood in this one. So,
well, that's what I was thinking. She's not giving the sponsor vibes all that much in this because she's encouraging him to party. She offers him the blood bag, which also, I thought at one point she had an animal diet, too. But she says she couldn't make it work.
She said she did it for, how long did she say? 2 weeks or something?
Some amount of time. A short amount of time.
A short amount of time.
But I thought in a later episode they said that she did only animals. But I guess maybe she just does blood bags.
She might have just tried it and realized it didn't work for her or whatever. But yeah, it is weird. They clearly hadn't planned because she says she admires Stefan's restraint.
Yeah.
Which
he has none.
Is not accurate at all.
He has none, yeah.
So, yeah, this is one of those really frustrating episodes on, like, a real rewatch where you're like, okay, Lexi, like, they clearly
it just doesn't work.
They clearly did not, like, think enough about this episode when they started writing the flashback episodes because it just doesn't add up.
No, not really. She also has some, like, conversation with Damon that I feel like doesn't really fit with their dynamic that they build out in later episodes.
That conversation is so weird.
It's very odd. It's just like...
Which the vibe should be odd because the last time we know they saw each other, as far as we know, was the 80s when they hooked up and he stole her ring.
Yes.
And she was trying to get his emotions back on, but he was just tricking her.
Yeah.
So, like, the vibes should be weird, but it was a different kind of weird.
It was a different kind of weird. It was more of like a... We sort of, like, peripherally know each other and there's sexual tension, but, like, nothing's ever happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of a weird vibe. Definitely not I abandon you on the top of a building without your daylight ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. They clearly had not planned any of Lexi's sort of, like, future involvement. Because she was dying at the end of the episode, too. They were like... She doesn't have a future in the show. We'll never see her
again.
Yeah, we didn't worry about it. But then she was such a fan favorite that they obviously brought her back for flashbacks.
Of course.
Which I still love, but I love flashback Lexi more than this Lexi.
I think so too. Yeah. I like her more as the sponsor role.
Yeah. So maybe they haven't hooked up. But this episode, they've hooked up.
That's possible. Yeah.
I don't know where that change happens. But maybe the last time we saw Stefan and Lexi together was like... Because he's not in those 80s flashbacks.
No.
The 40s.
It's like the 40s, yeah.
So, I mean, they had to have gone to Bon Jovi and stuff post-40s. So maybe their whole vibe changed post-40s.
Maybe something happened after the Bon Jovi. With Bon Jovi.
Oh.
Who knows?
It really could have been.
Lexi saying he'd remember them.
They can make him remember them.
Who knows?
I don't know.
My new fan theory.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one, actually. But yeah, so they're doing their whole thing. Yep. Damon is trying to get them to go to a party at the grill later, which Stefan doesn't want to go to because he just thinks Damon is probably up to something.
Oh, he's a stick in the mud also, but...
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a stick in the mud, and he thinks Damon's probably up to something, which Lexi's also very wary of Damon, but she just wants to have fun. She kind of gets in that little thing with Damon where she pins him or whatever she does to him and says that she's stronger than him.
Yes, because she's older,
Yeah, she's older. Which I was kind of surprised by. We know, obviously, that vampires who are older are stronger. But it was kind of surprising just because of how much blood we know that Damon's been on lately. Yeah. Which I guess he's dried out and he is trying to pull back. So it's not that surprising. But I don't know, just thinking about Damon's supernatural powers lately, I'm like... He seems to be pretty powerful.
He seems very strong, so Lexi must be incredibly strong.
Yeah, she's really out there.
Yeah.
But, of course, Elena shows up at the house.
Of course. And she sees Lexi. Lexi
in a towel.
Answers, in her towel. Of course, Elena is taken aback because she's in her towel. But Lexi is even more taken aback that Elena is just identical to Catherine, who... She's seen the picture of. I don't think she's ever met Catherine.
No. Stefan says that. He says, you never met Catherine, like, when she was alive.
Yeah.
But she holds up the picture. We see that she knows.
Yeah, she knows she looks identical. Which, every time I watch this, I wonder, like, why was this not Stefan's first clue that he should tell Elena immediately? Like, if this is Lexi's reaction, what would Elena's reaction be?
Yeah.
Because, like, the only other person who knows is Damon, who obviously isn't going to give a raw reaction.
Yeah.
But, Lexi reacting this way should make him be like,
oh, this is a big deal.
I need to tell Elena right now.
Yeah. No, it just makes me so mad. Because Stefan, it is, like, a terrible secret to be holding. And the fact that, like, Lexi reacts this way is truly, like, Stefan, not only do you need to be honest with Elena, you need to be honest with yourself.
Yes. That more than anything, honestly. Yeah.
Because that's what Lexi calls him out on. Like, Lexi's the only sane person in this situation.
Yes.
And she's like, you cannot say this doesn't have something to do with Catherine.
And he even admits that's what first drew him to her.
Yeah, of course it did.
Obviously.
Like, obviously it did.
Yeah, but I don't feel like he's really admitted that to himself.
No, he hasn't. This is kind of the first moment that he does. Which, of course, then it turns into the first moment that he sort of admits to himself that he is in love with Elena.
Yes.
Elena for her own sake. Because he does, like, start to describe Elena as a person, and like she's completely different than Catherine.
Yes.
And he does realize he's in love with her. Lexi realizes he's in love with her. But again, big secret to be like withholding.
Yes, definitely. Such a big secret that, like, again, I can't believe it hasn't come up until this point. And then we also see, you know, after this happens, Elena obviously is jealous that Lexi is there in the towel. She has no idea who Lexi is.
Yeah.
And Stefan goes to Elena's house and they have a little conversation, during which Elena says, and she was staring at me.
Yes.
I know it's not a great time to bring it up.
No.
It's not what you planned, but you should say something. That's your perfect segue.
Well, okay, here's the other thing I've wondered is, like, I don't know, dropping a hint would have helped. Like, if Stefan had sort of suggested, like, you know, a couple episodes ago when he brought up Catherine, you look like Catherine.
Yeah, you look similar.
Yeah. And then in a later, more serious, correct setting said, you're identical to Catherine.
Yeah.
That, I think, would have softened the blow.
Yeah, I think it, I mean, at least should have come up in some regard. I mean, I know they say the thing, like, or Damon says, kind of like you in that regard, but about her being
That's
beautiful.
true. But that just means
it's
you're
not
beautiful.
really the
like,
same, yeah.
You could say that about Caroline and Elena. Like, oh, she's like you in that regard. You're both beautiful. But, like, they don't look anything alike.
No. Yeah, there needed to be something said that was more, like, pointed.
Yeah. No. And Stefan just completely avoids it in this situation. He's like, oh, I don't know why she was staring at you.
Yeah.
Oh, weird Lexi.
Wow, yeah. Just
he does tell
beautiful.
us.
I don't know.
He does tell us in this situation, though, that Lexi is 350 years old. Which
Yeah,
I've been wondering.
we know she's an old head.
Old head. I'm glad we got that number, though, because I hadn't really been sure on our Vampire Timeline age scale where she landed.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever say her age again. I mean, obviously we know
she dies, so that's it.
Yeah, and in flashbacks we know she's just like she's older than Stefan, we get, but not much more than that.
I would assume that when Stefan met her, she must have mentioned that she was like 100 and, you know, something.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember if she does.
I don't remember if she does either. We'll have to keep an eye out for it. But yeah, so Stefan is just... Stefan's being Stefan this episode.
Yep.
But he goes to Elena. Now they're not gonna go to the party together, though.
Yeah, she says she's gonna stay in.
She's still like, yeah, I'm gonna stay in. I'm not ready for any of this.
Yeah.
But of course the party is being thrown for Stefan.
Yes.
We see earlier, sort of, by proxy.
Yeah.
Caroline's throwing the party, but Damon has compelled Caroline to be throwing the party.
Yes, because Damon is compelling, we don't know yet, but he's compelling her to have this party. He's also compelling her to get the necklace back from Bonnie.
Yeah. He's making Caroline the little... He's
making Caroline do his bidding.
Yeah.
He's in control of this entire episode, which... I do love Lexi, and I love Caroline, and I feel bad for her, but this is a brilliant Damon episode. Yeah. I know we already said that, but yeah, I just love it.
Damon, yeah, it's bad when he's doing bad things, but okay, here's the thing. It's a show. It is a show about vampires and whatever. Yeah. Logic and morals are sort of out the window, and it's more about entertainment, and Damon is providing entertainment.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
Yes, he's outmaneuvering everyone. He's just brilliant.
He is. Good. Which, again, is evil in that it starts off by compelling Caroline to steal the necklace for him. Yep. Because when he tried to rip it off Bonnie's neck, it shocked him. Yeah. Which, same thing happened to Caroline. She tried to request it, I suppose, which her maneuver was to request it. Bonnie said no, and then say, as your friend, I'll just be honest, it makes you look fat.
The necklace.
Yeah.
Okay,
this
Caroline.
Necklace, this little pendant makes you look fat, Bonnie. Give it over. So, tactics bad.
Yeah, no. Caroline...
Not the brilliant genius that Damon is.
No. Yeah, and she does try to grab it, and it also shocks her. And she says, are you wearing polyester?
Caroline is brilliant in a different way.
Yeah,
that's the vibe.
She's a little quippy in these early episodes. Yes, she's got some good lines.
Yeah, although her fashion...
Bad.
Terrible. Literally, it makes me so
really
mad. Caroline's fashion through mid-season 2, basically season 3, is pretty bad. Like, awful.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's worse than just 2009 bad.
Yeah, it's just bad.
It's just bad, yeah.
I think...
little skirt, tank top, I don't know. It's just bad.
I think part of it is it becomes... At some point, it becomes part of her storyline to say, like, Caroline starts to find herself, and then she starts to find herself through her fashion, and so you're sort of getting it as, like, a way into her psyche of, like, her clothes. Yes. It reflects what's going on the inside. At this point, I don't think that's the case. I think they're just not dressing her correctly.
No.
The outfit when she goes to meet Damon, and she's in this, like, it's like a Britney Spears costume.
Yeah.
She's, like, in the little skirt, but, like, not in a cute way.
No.
It just doesn't look good.
No.
It looks terrible.
It looks like she's trying to do, like, the Britney Spears toxic.
Yeah. But like, in the small town square of Mystic Falls for some reason. But anyway, so Caroline fails at her objective in this episode to get the necklace. Bonnie does. Yep. Bonnie's already obviously had that conversation with Grams, how important it is. So she won't give it up. And it doesn't work when Caroline tries to rip it off her neck. So she goes back to Damon. And Damon, again, bad.
Yeah.
He says...
A useless waste of space or something along those
She's selfish,
lines.
Stupid, and useless is what he says. She's selfish, stupid, and useless.
He's terrible to her.
He's so terrible to her because I also, like, don't know why he does it, really. Like, if he thinks that that's going to motivate her, if he is just trying to tear her down. I don't know, but it's awful, and it really sends her into a spiral. Yes. And she goes back to Bonnie and blames Bonnie.
Yes.
Because it's, of course, Bonnie's fault because she didn't give her the necklace.
Yes. Yeah, she does sort of blame Bonnie. But then Bonnie's just such a good friend again. Mm-hmm. She's like, Caroline, you know that's not true. You're not useless. Like, you deserve so much more.
Yeah.
Just Bonnie being Bonnie.
Bonnie being a good friend.
Yes. She's out of her bully era. She's back being good. Being the friend we all want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who else is the good friend in this one?
Matt,
exactly.
Yeah.
Stefan finally makes it to the party, and first thing he does is talk to Matt, which I feel like is very needed. The way that things ended, the last one was not good. The last thing we saw between them, Stefan pinned Matt up against the wall, saying he was trying to help Vicky, and then Vicky disappeared.
Yeah.
So things were not in a good place. So it was nice that Stefan did that. He went up to Matt, and he just sort of apologizes about everything that happened with Vicky and says that he went through something similar once. Is what he says. Which is what you had said last episode that he should have said.
He should have just said that, yeah.
I don't know why he didn't.
I feel like that cleared it up. And it does work. Like, Matt is like...
He immediately forgives him.
He's like, yeah, it's okay. Like, this happens. It's Vicky, sort of. Yeah. Just saying he wasn't expecting more. Which is also very sad. Matt is so sympathetic.
So sympathetic. And just, again, such a nice person because he immediately forgives Stefan for all of that. And just makes it clear that there's no bad blood. There's nothing between them that, you know, he realizes now Stefan was just trying to help and it wasn't his fault and they're good. But it's just so sad.
It is really sad.
But also making good, Elena and Lexi. Elena does finally come.
Yes.
Elena comes to the party and I think Lexi approaches her. She gets some shots and, like, goes over to Elena. Yeah. And they start to have a whole conversation about love and humans and vampires. Mm-hmm. And Lexi tells her that the love of her life is a human.
Yes.
And she tells her love conquers all.
Yes. And when it's real, you can't walk away.
When it's real, you can't walk away. And you can sort of see in that moment, like, Elena's head spinning. You can see sort of, I think, her mind changing about everything that's going on.
Yes.
Lexi does a lot to change Elena's perspective in this episode.
Yeah, I think she's the entire reason. I mean, she probably would have found her way back to Stefan eventually, but she pretty much immediately, after that conversation, obviously, like...
Within the hour. They're still at the party.
Yeah, within the hour, she goes back to Stefan and is like, well, of course I came. It's your birthday. And they sort of make amends.
Yeah, again, Elena's a 17-year-old girl. She's not, you know...
She's very relatable in that regard.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
But Lexi immediately goes back over to Stefan. They're playing pool. And Stefan acknowledges. He obviously heard everything.
Of course,
so,
listening.
You know, he says, kind of thank you. And they chat for a second about it. And Lexi's just trying to push it off. And she said, I was feeling epic. Whatever. So good. We forget the whatever.
We do forget the whatever. I also forget that line, the feather scene, like, all of these things happen in this episode.
So many iconic moments in this episode.
So iconic.
Yeah, they really are. Because I was feeling epic is, like, probably one of the most iconic Rippah Diaries quotes. Yeah. It's up there with "Hello, brother," and I'm not sure what else, but like a few of the most iconic lines. It's on that list.
Yes.
Which I think it's more so the delivery of it in the finale, because it's reset in the finale of the show. But this one is really cute because I do like the way she delivers it with "I was feeling epic, whatever." It's just so like offhanded.
Yes.
It's so cute.
Yes. Also, I just love it in the context. Like, this is like her fun, playful episode. She's doing tequila shots. Like, she's just having fun, and I just love, and I think it's very relatable. Like, the feeling of being a little drunk and being like, I was feeling epic. Of course I was going to tell your girlfriend that you're amazing and that you should be with him.
Again, true friendship.
Yes, exactly.
It's so cute. And she's compelling the bartender to give everybody drinks.
Yes.
Who gets arrested at the end of the episode.
Because Caroline gets trashed.
Caroline gets blackout, hammered. Yes. She's out of it. She's
falling all over the place.
Which, if somebody told me that I was a selfish, useless waste of space,
I'd be right there with her.
I would also be blackout, to be fair.
Yeah.
So, she's justified in that. For whatever reason, while she's that drunk, she decides to go over to Matt.
Yeah. Odd choice, but they were clearly setting up the romantic relationship.
Which I wonder if she had any interest in him prior to that, or if he just was the first person she kind of... I feel like when you're drunk, you just kind of like, whoever's around.
Yeah,
like,
you just kind of gravitate to people. But also, Matt is like, they're all of their childhood friend. Like,
that's true. They're all in the same friend group. We didn't see Tyler at the party at all, so...
Yeah, no.
It could have easily been Tyler, but he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Elena's preoccupied. Damon's obviously done what he's done.
Yeah, Bonnie's
Caroline's
not there.
Fighting with Bonnie. So, yeah, they gravitate towards each other, Caroline and Matt. Yep. And Matt, again, is a great person. So he's, of course, just going to protect her while she's drunk and take care of her. And, you know, he makes the random guy sitting with them, like, go get her water or whatever. Yeah. Yep. So random. I don't know who that guy was. So he had to go get water for Caroline to kind of sober her up.
Yep.
And Matt's just going to, like, take care of her. Although... classic drunk girl move. Caroline is just crying about being shallow.
Yes.
It's so sad.
Which, also, do love Matt in these first few episodes. But he says deep isn't really your thing, Caroline.
Okay, let's be fair. He's a 17-year-old boy. He does as well.
Deep is also not his thing, probably. But
deep is 100% not Matt Donovan's thing at any age.
No.
But no, he's a 17-year-old boy, so he does... as you would expect in this conversation where she's crying about being shallow.
He doesn't really say the right things, but he tries.
He tries. He says, deep isn't really your thing, which he's trying to make her feel better that, like, you don't have to be deep, you know?
Yes.
Which is fair. That's a fair comment. You don't have to be deep. Who cares if you're deep? Yeah. But, like, no, he phrases it that, like, it's not really your thing, which obviously doesn't work, and she cries that she's a kiddie pool, which I always thought was, like, a funny thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just have that whole sort of emotional back and forth. And I think, like, it's such an important scene in a way because it really is so accurate to, like, being 17 years old. And, like,
yes,
if you don't have a moment in your life where you cry over thinking that you're not deep, that you're shallow, or that you're selfish, or, I don't know, just you hate your personality, or you think you're not a good person, like, you haven't grown up yet. It's just part of it.
Yeah. It also, I feel like it really works. Again, we know where Caroline ends up, and it just really fits with all the other things she said about her insecurities.
Yes.
How, like, everyone always picks Elena over her, and, you know, and then we finally see her grow into her own. So it's like, I feel like it really works, and it does really help show off her character development when it happens.
Exactly. And I think, too, this does sow the seed that, like, she wants to be deep. It's just so precious. For her,
even though she was being
she was being awful.
She was being terrible to Bonnie.
She was being awful. She's been awful for her to this point. We've only seen awful from Caroline thus far. This is the first episode where we get to really see a human, emotional, vulnerable.
Yes.
In a real way. Not in a selfish, kind of like the first episode way. So Matt takes her home. They have the deep drunk girl convo of, you know, whatever they talk about. And she asks him to stay the night. So things have really begun for Caroline and Matt.
We're going to have to suffer through this one for a whole other season.
But I do like this scene, actually, because...
this scene is good.
The thing that was sort of interesting...
Downhill from there.
It's downhill from there. But Caroline says, I just wish life was different. And Matt says, me too. And with everything going on with Vicky, it's so... It's so good.
He needs this.
So
she
true.
needs this. It's good companionship. Yeah.
Yes, they both need somebody right now.
Yes.
And so they're just perfectly suited for each other. So it's a great start to their relationship. There's plenty else going on.
That's true.
Damon's evil plan.
Yes. Damon has this whole evil plan, which Lexi confronts him about. Why are you in town? What's going on? And he says, my diabolical master plan. Mm-hmm. And then, of course...
But he won't tell her what it is.
He won't tell her, of course.
That defeats the point of a diabolical...
It wouldn't be a diabolical plan, which is right. But yeah, we see that he feeds on the guy, feeds and kills on the guy outside the grill.
And he compels the girl that's with him.
Yep. Mm-hmm. We don't see what for. And then the sheriff gets there. Mm-hmm. The girl points out Lexi. Mm-hmm. And we realize he compelled her to basically blame Lexi.
Yep.
And
he acts his little heart out. Damon's out to put his heart and soul.
He is putting his whole heart and soul into being...
What's going on?
Liz, what are you doing?
Yeah. So he's always got the plan, and he always knows how to deliver. And poor Stefan is just standing off on the side with Elena.
Yes.
Just watching the sheriff and the other, like, police officers kind of, like, take her away.
Yeah.
And... they have blockaded the door. Nobody else is allowed outside of the grill right now because they're killing a vampire in the streets. Yep. As you do.
As you would in Mystic Falls.
Apparently. Yep. So they can't even get outside to help her. So it's just so sad that Stefan is panicking inside and he just can't get out to her. Yep. So the cops drag Lexi outside. Mm-hmm. And, of course, they're forever unprepared and not knowing what they're getting into. Yep. So she, vamp powers. She's 350 years old.
Yeah, so little Vervain is not going to take her down.
No, not for long. So she, starts vamp running at them. I think she knocks out, like, one of the cops. Yeah. They start shooting at her.
Liz is shooting. Which no one in the Mystic Grill seems to be.
The gunshots are not distracting.
No.
But yeah, they're just like completely unprepared. It doesn't even faze her. The shots are hitting her, but like she can keep going.
She's still moving toward Liz. Yeah.
She's 350 years old. She's fine. Yes. And Damon comes out of nowhere with a stake and delivers the kill.
Yeah. And Elena and Stefan are out by this time, so they're watching.
By this time they get out. But I think Elena's kind of holding him back, or they're staying back, however it works out. Yeah. They don't intervene. No. Because they can't really. No. And they see Damon kill her. Yes. And as he stabs her, her last word, why? Oh. And he says, it's part of the plan.
It's part of the plan. Yeah.
This is like top 5 worst things Damon ever does in this show for me.
I think so.
It's just... maybe not in the moment, too, because, like, you only get her for the episode. She dies at the end of the episode. You're kind of like, okay, like, it is bad of him to kill Stefan's best friend, but whatever. But as we get more flashbacks throughout the series, you realize, like, the depth of what he did.
How horrible it was, yeah.
And it's up there. It can't be number 1, but it's
not
up there.
number 1, but it's up there.
A different moment comes to mind for number 1 that we'll get to eventually. Yeah. But it's up there. But, again, this just works perfectly to Damon's master plan. He's now gained Liz's trust and respect. He killed the vampire. Yes. He did it. And she praises him for his handiwork. Yeah. And, he's made good. He's officially on the council now. How could he be a vampire? He killed a vampire.
Yeah. And, of course, as long as he stops killing people, so he thinks. Yeah. The vampire problem will be gone. So he'll seem to have solved it. Yeah. They won't be looking.
Yeah, all's well in Mystic Falls.
Yes. But not.
But not. And, of course, not for Stefan, who is...
horribly upset. Reasonably
justifiably upset at Damon for killing his best friend. So he goes to beat him up to try to stab him. And he does stab him. But he does not stab him in the heart. He stabs him just below. And he says that Damon saved his life and he owed him. And now they're even.
Yes.
So anything could happen now.
Yeah. And importantly, Elena kind of stops him from actually just killing him. Yeah. Because Elena is like, it will kill you if you kill Damon. Yeah. Which I think is a really important point. And she does also sort of save Stefan in that way, because it would have killed him. Yeah. Even though Damon is being horrible right now, it would have killed him in the end.
It would have just changed his, like, personality. Yeah. It's like one of those guilty things that at the time you might kind of think you're doing the right thing, but, like, how could you ever live with yourself for it? No. It's just not... it's just not something you want to do, especially when you're holding that moral high ground of I'm the good person, I'm the better brother, yada, yada.
That too. Yeah.
So that's where they end off this episode, pretty volatile.
Definitely.
And then we get the true ending to this episode, which gives us the setup for the next episode.
Yes. We see Bonnie she's sleeping, she's in bed, and we see that she's having these dreams where she ends up in the cemetery. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we see her face or anything, but we see someone watching her.
No, we see Emily Bennett. She says...
Do we see her?
Yeah, she says, it's coming.
Oh, I didn't know if we saw her face.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing
her face. We see her face just sort of briefly.
Okay. I thought we saw her back for some reason.
There's like a montage. We see the necklace. We see flashes in the woods. We briefly see Emily Bennett, and she says, it's coming.
It's coming.
And then Bonnie wakes up in the morning in the cemetery in her pajamas. Yeah. And is just scared. She doesn't know what's going on.
Yes.
And that's going to kick us off for season 1, episode 8.
9.
I never remember what episode we're on. Episode 9, history repeating.
But yeah, for this week, for In Memoriam, we just have the random unnamed person that Damon kills and blames on Lexi. Mm-hmm. And of course, Lexi. Both killed by Damon.
As usual.
He's up to like probably 7, 8 kills at this point.
Yeah, he always is.
Yeah.
So... yeah, great job, Damon, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Lexi. We'll see you again later.
Yeah, she'll be back.
Not alive, but she'll be back. Next, we've got our out-of-pocket moments. I don't know if I have any, really.
I think my only one was just Caroline telling Bonnie that the pendant made her look fat.
Oh, that's actually a good one.
It's so bad and so ridiculous.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just so out of pocket, I think.
That is out of pocket. Because my only thing was really, like, Damon killing Lexi, which we've agreed, like... Too serious killing somebody. Or potentially Damon saying that Caroline is a selfish, useless, whatever. But that's also too awful to be out of pocket. So I think... Caroline just randomly saying that the pendant makes Bonnie look fat is pretty out of pocket.
Yeah. Also awful, but in a different way.
She didn't mean it. She just wanted the necklace back.
Yes.
So Caroline Forbes, I think this is her second or third win at out of pocket moment. So that's great. Good job, Caroline.
She's out of pocket, but she'll level out.
Eventually. It's going to be a while though. Actually, not even then, because even the Caroline we know and love as a vampire has lots of out-of-pocket moments.
She does.
She always has an opinion, and she's always offering it.
Yeah.
Which is why I relate to her.
Listen, relating to Caroline, season 2 on, not so bad. Yeah. And then, of course, I think for best quote, I have to go with, I was feeling epic. Whatever. We'll add the whatever.
Yeah. So, okay. Little debate here. I was feeling that I was feeling epic, whatever. But it's... part of me doesn't want to name such a memorable quote the best quote.
Yeah.
We didn't do best quote, I don't think, in our first episode. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we would have said hello, brother is the best quote, or if we would have picked something else. Just because there's something about the so notable ones that you almost want to pick something else.
Yeah.
The quote that I was a little bit more drawn to was, when it's real, you can't walk away. Because I feel like that's slightly underrated. But I also like...
underrated, yeah.
I also do like, I was feeling epic, whatever. If we could tack on the whatever...
I think tacking on the whatever, make it a little different. Yeah.
But I also have to say, of course, I always have a Damon one.
Yes.
And my favorite Damon one this time was, Stefan smiles, alert the media.
That one was also
pretty good.
Yeah, those were fun.
Damon's always quipping the jokes. He's always got something up his sleeve.
One-liners.
Even in a serious episode like this, when he's just pulling off schemes, he's like, gotta throw a joke towards Elena. Yeah. Make her laugh.
Yeah.
So... we'll go with I was feeling epic, whatever.
With the whatever, I like it.
The whatever softens it. It makes it a little unique. So, I was feeling epic, whatever. So good. Now, song of the episode. This was not the best song of the episode.
Yeah, this is a rare episode where none of the music really stands out to me.
There's only one that I sort of remember, so it's just going to have to be my winner. I didn't really have any honorable mentions. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you had any.
No, I only had one.
My only winner that I had was Happy Birthday by the Birthday Massacre.
Yeah, I was thinking that one too, because I was just thinking, I mean, it's Stefan's birthday.
Yeah, it's on theme.
Yeah.
It just sticks out. It's right after Lexi says Happy Birthday, and then it plays over the title with the Vampire Diaries logo. Yeah. So it just has like a good...
It's fun.
It's fun. It's unique to the episode. It has the right sort of tone, so that was my winner.
Yeah, that was mine too. That was what I was going to suggest. Okay. It's not like I feel very strongly about it.
I know.
It's a good one.
It's disappointing when like last week there were 2 songs I like loved
and wanted both to be best song.
Yeah, and there's been a few where we've had like 2 songs that we love, but then we get an episode like this where you're like, there's like fine songs, but nothing that really like was memorable.
Yeah.
But that's the only memorable one in my eyes. So Happy Birthday by the Birthday Massacre.
Yeah.
That's the best song of season 1, episode 9. 8?
8.
Oh my god. I'll never remember.
Yes, this episode 8, next week, season 1, episode 9. History repeating. We'll dig more into the Bennett witch line. Yes. Love them.
Love magic.
Yes. So we'll get
love a seance.
Oh, don't even start. I'm already scared. I don't even want to watch. But yeah, I think that's it for this week.
Yeah, so you can follow us on TikTok and on Instagram. We're always posting clips from the pod and some memes.
Yes.
All the Vampire Diaries content.
Yes.
And you can also listen to this podcast if you're not already on Apple Podcast or Spotify.
Yes.
And if you're not already, you can watch the video version on YouTube.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's it.
That's it. Thanks so much for watching or listening to this one. We'll see you next week.
Bye.